You're goddamn right.
And this week we've got an especially big treat for you, ladies and gentlemen. The two young ladies responsible for why you shouldn't be a white feminist, explaining why feminism shouldn't be a dirty word. This ought to be interesting as fuck.
Feminism has become something of a dirty word in certain circles.
It's almost as though people representing certain labels have had those actions taint the association with that label. I mean, why wouldn't anybody who wants to tell everybody about their patriotic leanings and their socialist tendencies want to be called National Socialists? Why wouldn't anybody with a strong economic policy of centralization and patriotism want to be called fascists? I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to be associated with a label where the actions are demonstrably awkward.
Lately, a lot of high-profile women like Shailene Woodley, Meryl Streep, and Marion Cotillard have gone on record saying they are not feminists.
There's even a group called Women Against Feminism.
Oh, that subtle, derisive, mocking tone. There's even a group called Women Against Feminism. As though critical examination of the world around us is inherently problematic.
But what are these women really saying when they declare they aren't feminists?
Honestly, I'd kind of assumed that they had they decided that they didn't like the label and that they were going to find a label that they felt more comfortable with. But I'm sure you're going to feminist-splain this to me any second now.
What they think they're saying is, I don't hate men, I love men.
I don't think women are better than men.
I'm not that kind of woman. You know, the crazy, bra-burning, feminazi kind. I'm a cool woman.
I don't want to put women above men.
Well, honestly, if you two young ladies can read minds at a distance, read the minds of those that are not even present in the room with you. Why are you here advocating for feminism when you could be cleaning up in online poker tournaments or in Vegas itself? I mean, let's not just take the words at face value right from the horse's mouth. Let's just imagine what we think they mean rather than just say, looking at Meryl's quote, because our tastes are different. What we value is different. Not better, different. In fact, all three women appear to have the opinion that men and women should have a balance and neither should be above the other. And Marion Cotillard also appends to that the fact that she believes the label feminism can in and of itself be considered rather divisive.
For anyone who needs a refresher, this is what feminism means at its core.
Feminist, a person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
And for anyone that needs a refresher course on the actions of feminism as opposed to its definition, let's examine the following cases. The state chapters of New York and Michigan of the National Organization of Women standing against default shared custody in contested cases. The utter lack of post-victimization resources for male victims of domestic violence and rape. Rape definitions in most first world countries do not account for a man forced to penetrate as a victim. They only consider penetrative action to be rape. We have programs, as in the U.S. example, the Selective Service, wherein a man must register within 30 days of his 18th birthday or will be jailed as a felon, losing his right to vote, will lose access to all post-secondary educational grants and loans, will lose the ability to get a vehicle. And we have a disproportionate number of countries which only outlaw infant genital mutilation for one gender.
Hating men and being a feminist are actually not connected at all. Not even a little bit.
Your Honor, I submit the following quotes as contradictory to that claim, and if it pleases the court, I will leave these quotes up for a brief period.
Hating men and being a feminist are actually not connected at all. Not even a little bit.
Feminism is about equality of the sexes, but right now, one sex has a lot more power than the other.
Look at all that power. Let's just look at that for a while and reflect on it and bask in our patriarchal privilege. Oh, it's so good. So good. Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. And I'm done.
Men are not systematically oppressed based on their gender, and that's a fact.
Since I'd already covered this in the last segment, I'm just going to post up the next screenshot from that same page, and I'm going to leave it up for a bit.
But women are, and that's a fact too.
Everybody get ready for some more feminist explaining.
So if you believe any of the following,
Reproductive rights.
All right. To answer this one, it's going to be a little more complex. And I'm literally going to read out a thought experiment that somebody put together and slapped up on Reddit. So, women have much more power in relationships than men do. Not just by social convention, which believe me is power enough. Not just because others are more sympathetic to their side of any story, which believe me is also more than enough power. But via the full weight and majesty of the law. Let us construct in our heads a hypothetical situation. I shall use you and I as examples just to give some sense of the impact of these events on people's lives. Let us suppose that we meet by chance in some gathering place in some city where, at some point in the future, we both reside. I am tall, handsome, muscular, well-dressed, and confident. You are pretty, intelligent, charming, and you get my jokes. Nature takes its course. After about a year, you decide that I am a good catch, the best of your available options, and you would like to be married. You drop hints, but I demur. I like you well enough, but you want children, and I do not. Not to mention that I am still considering my options, and am unready to enter into any sort of lifelong pact. You simply stop taking your birth control pills without a word to me. This is not a crime, because legally I have no right to know. They are your pills, and it is your body. After a couple of attempts, which I did not even know were attempts, you become pregnant. You may have attempted with other men as well. Let's leave that matter unresolved for the moment. You do not tell me until you start to show. This is also perfectly legal. Once I figure things out, I offer to pay for half of the termination procedure. Decline to undergo one. This too is legal. The law allows you the right to choose. I, however, have no such right. I do a little snooping and discover unused quantities of birth control pills in the bathroom cabinet. Since they come in those neatly dated little wheelie things, I am able to easily deduce the exact day that you stopped. I terminate our sexual relationship post-haste. You are angry and accusing me of putting you in this delicate situation and then abandoning you. I demur, arguing that you placed yourself in this situation. Negotiations deteriorate. I demand a paternity test, not feeling particularly trusting at this point. You refuse. You have that right. You have the legal right. It's your body. I cannot force you to undergo amniocentesis. You give birth to a daughter and name her Zoe. I am named on the birth certificate as the father simply because mine was the name you gave when they asked. I wasn't even there. Now, I have refused to marry you, and I still have that right in most situations, although, look up common law marriage, allows a woman to force a man to marry her. So you legally demand that I provide you with the benefits of marriage anyway, to wit, a large portion of my income. You have the legal right to do this. It's called child support. In court, I demand a paternity test, but am denied one. You see, because I offered to pay for an abortion, I acknowledge the child is mine, and my name is on the certificate. And most important of all, the very court that is ruling on the matter receives a cut of all child support payments. In most jurisdictions. We'll note that now. Legally, the money is for Zoe, but the checks come to you in your name. You can spend them however you like with no oversight whatsoever. I am not even sure that Zoe is mine. Now I'm in a bad situation, but the story doesn't end there. The tanking economy causes budget cuts, and my cushy job as an engineer at a major defense contractor is lost. The only thing I can find to replace it is a job hawking cell phones in one of those little mall kiosks. This is not, however, grounds for reducing my child support payments. The initial amount was determined by my income at the time, but legally, they are a right belonging to Zoe and determined by Zoe's needs, so my income is not a factor. Now I cannot pay, and I'm called a deadbeat dad according to society. And the newspaper my photograph is published in, and the website my picture is posted on. My failure to pay tanks my credit rating with all the attendant woes. The economy loosens up a bit, and I reapply to my old firm. They're keen to rehire me, but they can't. With a record of delinquent child support payments, I cannot pass the background checks. Now my career is blighted too. Many years have passed by now, and I'm in some deep trouble. Broke, with no career prospects, poor credit, spotty criminal record, failure to pay child support is a misdemeanor and can be a felony in some jurisdictions. Depressed, no means or confidence to attract another woman even if I could afford to trust one again. The story still doesn't end there. Desperate, I managed to find some pretext to visit you, and I steal some of Zoe's hair from her hairbrush in the bathroom. I pay for a lab test out of my meager remaining resources. Zoe isn't mine. I take you to court and lose. Yes, lose. Because I had already been paying child support. I am the publicly acknowledged father. If you do not believe this could happen, I sympathize. But Google Michael Joseph Ocasio and prepare to be shocked. All right, so the end of the scenario. Look at where we are. My life is indeed ruined. At no point did I have any power to stop it, except by remaining celibate my entire life. At every point, what you did, you had a legal right to do. You didn't have to get away with anything. You could write a book about it and nothing will change, because it's all legal. The only thing protecting most men from this fate is nothing but women's lack of inclination to do so. This is entirely within the power of any woman. Would you accept being in a 1700s-style marriage where your husband owned anything and had the legal right to beat you simply because he was a nice guy and wouldn't do that? That is precisely what men are being asked, no, expected to accept. Is it any wonder we are distrustful and suspicious to the point of paranoia? It's our only defense. The law will not protect us. The law is against us, straight down to the line. Imagine that.
Equal pay for equal work.
Ah, the wage gap again. Here's the irony. Poland was one of the first countries to legislate an Equal Pay Act, and it's been enforced in law by most of the Western world for a significant period.
Equal pay for equal work.
Seeing diverse bodies, ethnicities, and gender expressions on screen and in magazines.
Frankly, I'm not even sure what express diverse... What? What does this even have to do with feminism? There's nothing stopping people from being on screen or making their own media that reflects their personal experiences.
Providing education to 62 million girls who don't have access to it.
I really wish they'd included a citation for this, because I'm pretty sure that we can find lots and lots of citations for boys that don't have access to education either. Yes, there are countries in which there are girls refused education. However, there are lots of countries in which boys are refused education because they're handed guns.
Ending sexual violence.
Because sexual violence only occurs to women. In what world are you living again? I'm quite serious. Like, where are you living that it is only something that happens to women?
Having women in government, having women CEOs.
Now allow me for a moment to return to what Meryl Streep said about feminism. Because our tastes are different. What we value is different. Not better, different. The fact of the matter is that men and women have different desires as adults, as evidenced here.
Having women in government, having women CEOs.
You know, basic gender equality.
So at some point, ladies, are you going to suggest a matter where in the first world women are denied rights that are afforded to men? Because you haven't yet. I mean, you've done a great deal of faffing about, complaining about things that are not unequal, and presenting them as though they are critical areas of inequality. And I've not seen a single citation yet.
Surprise!
You're probably a feminist.
Feel free to identify or not identify any way you want. But if you say you're not a feminist, at least understand what the term actually means.
So, you think we're smart enough to understand the definition of feminism, but we're not smart enough to look at the actions of feminism and feminists? You know, it's interesting. My parents taught me when I was growing up that actions speak louder than words. It's a concept you might want to consider.
And if you think that you're a humanist,
Ziva, we gotta go. We just don't have time for this today.
Yeah, let's just define humanist really quick here. A person having a strong interest in or concern for human welfare, values, and dignity. Almost like it's the sort of thing that would apply to all humans, regardless of gender or ethnicity or And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is my take on their 2-minute video, and believe that it qualifies under fair use since I've now made a 15-minute video out of their 2 minutes. So yeah. Ladies, you've done a wonderful job of accomplishing absolutely nothing that we didn't already know about, and not really proving that feminism is about equality, but But I thank you for your time and your effort. I'm sure you are. I'm sure that you feel very vindicated by your efforts. So yeah, leave comments below. Subscribe or don't. Follow me on Twitter or don't. I don't care. I'm not here to be validated by you. I'm here to make shit that amuses me and respond to people that I think are completely losing the plot. Have a nice day, everybody.